That video was taken from the channel known as Baphomet Kun. In fact, it was the first video uploaded to the channel back on August 21st of 2020. Since BK's first upload, and yes, I will be referring to Baphomet Kun as BK from here on out, just for simplicity's sake. So, as I was saying, since BK's first upload, he or she has uploaded consistently for the past 7 months and has since amassed over 120,000 subscribers as of making this video. Every video that BK makes falls into the same category known as Dreamcore, or also known as Weirdcore. Both of these categories basically mean the same thing, in which they both focus around putting out content that is meant to evoke a sense of dread and fear in the viewer, while also maintaining a strange feeling of familiarity. Almost like you know the places that are being shown without remembering why. This is usually accomplished by utilizing something called liminal space. Now, if you're scratching your head wondering what liminal space is, I'm going to flash some examples of liminal spaces on screen. Now, liminal space is defined as a space that is between what was and what's next. Essentially, it's that transitioning phase or location between your past and your future. A good example of a liminal space that some of you may know about comes from the critically acclaimed anime movie Spirited Away. The station or church that the family finds themselves walking inside serves as a liminal space because it's the space between their world and the spirit world. That's why it feels so empty and ambiguous. Now that we got all of those definitions out of the way, let's get to the real reason why you're all here. Why does Baphomet Kun upload this type of content? And what exactly is the story behind all of these videos? It's a question that has been asked since Baphomet Kun's first upload and has yet to be answered, until today. I've been working on an answer for a few days now, and I've come to two possible conclusions. The first explanation for these videos is that Baphomet Kun is simply telling us a story. A story of who? Well, a story of a little boy named Jimothy. This story is not told chronologically. You see, BK is not the type to make things that easy for us. Instead, the story is spread out through all of BK's videos. So where exactly does this story start? And who is Jimothy? Well, Jimothy is the kid that logs into this computer at his school. We know his name because it's in the title of this video. The name of the video is Jimothy Logs into the School Library Computer. This video doesn't take place until a lot later in the story, so let's start at the beginning. Growing up, Jimothy always felt alone and useless. We know this because of these 3 videos titled Birthday Bash, Useless, and Kids Shows. These videos give us a deep insight into the story of Jimothy. In the video Useless, we see how he views himself and the kids around him. He views himself as a kid that simply can't fit in. We know this because when you translate this phrase from Japanese to English, you get 2 possible meanings. One being a child who cannot adapt, and the second one being a child that cannot fit in. This is further exemplified in the video Birthday Bash. As a natural born loner, Jimothy has to have his parents invite his friends because he doesn't feel like he has anyone to rely on. We know this because his parents even note that Jimothy said he wanted to be alone, further explaining how truly alone this kid feels. A quick thing to note before we move on, near the end of the video, you see this line of question marks that pops up frequently during the sequence with his friends talking to him. Keep in mind, each quote that is shown is a kid saying that line to Jimothy. Because of this, we know that the question marks indicate that Jimothy is either refusing to remember what this kid said to him, or is simply trying to block out that part of his mind. He wants this memory to fade away for some reason. These question marks will be very important later in the story. Now, as I was saying, Jimothy simply feels like an outsider. Even when he's at school, he is always left on the outskirts. He doesn't even sit near his friends or his classmates when they all watch movies on the computer. He simply stays as far away as possible. What you're watching isn't just a video of kids watching a movie on these monitors. The video is from the point of view of Jimothy, much like the other video Birthday Bash, where we get to be put into his perspective. In later videos, we get more glimpses into Jimothy's childhood and we get to see his frequent use of the school computers. You see, being a loner at school, sometimes the only thing to do at recess was to go to the library and play on the computers. Jimothy can be seen frequently playing games on the computer, drawing on MS Paint, and getting strange and weird pop-ups from watching videos. He always finds himself on the computers in the library to cope with the loneliness that he feels. He does this every day at recess until one day something strange occurs. He goes to log into the computer as normal, but seemingly out of nowhere, these strange video pop-ups begin to appear on his screen, and he is left speechless. Jimothy becomes mesmerized by the video, and for good reason. This video isn't just any video. It's a video that was made by aliens from another universe. Don't believe me? Well, let's analyze what's on the screen. We frequently see these subliminal messages playing in the background with these weird, strange characters. After 2 hours of digging, I found out what language and script this comes from. The script comes from a language simply known as alien language. Now, I'm not talking about your typical green alien people, but just aliens. Aliens are in fact defined as just a foreign species that has not yet been introduced to us. So what the aliens look like isn't known to us, but nonetheless, we are seeing their language here. When translated from their language to English, I was able to make out these phrases: search, have a world, don't believe, and the phrase, you have the power to lead our task. These subliminal messages stuck with Jimothy after leaving the computer room. He begins to wonder, is there more to the universe than what I can see, hear, and feel? This begins to drive Jimothy mad, so much that it creeps into his dreams. We get insight into this with videos such as this one titled, "It's Fake, You'll Be Okay." In this video, Jimothy wakes up, looks at his hands, and then he walks towards this house. We get inside the house, and then Jimothy talks to this big circle. The entity explains further that it wonders why things are the way they seem to be, further exemplifying Jimothy's view on the world as of late. By the way, we know that this is in fact a dream because of another video that BK put out titled "I'd Rather Sleep MV." In that video, we get this shot right here. Right as the lyrics explain, "Now I know what's real and fake," we see the door with the black oval shape on it is labeled as fake. And this isn't the only time we see this shape. Every time there is a dream sequence in these videos, we see this black oval shape. It doesn't appear in every video for a reason. Some of the videos are dreams that the boy is experiencing, while other videos are what's actually happening to Jimothy in real life. Further proof of this is the fact that the dream sequences seem to be exaggerated versions of Jimothy's real life incidents. For example, in the video titled "Watching Them," Jimothy reimagines his birthday party in dream form. The hallway from the birthday bash video can be seen in this video, but now it's in complete contrast to before, with the hallway's door appearing as a black void instead of being closed with his friends in front. You can even see how Jimothy reimagines the birthday party area. Clearly, the black circle has to represent dream sequences. Now, as said before, Jimothy begins having weird dreams after having encountered the weird pop-up from the school computer. This leads him to descent into further madness. He begins questioning his existence, and one fateful night, he finds himself on edge about everything that's on his mind. Jimothy's mind wanders to some dark places. He begins to think of one of his friends and envies their existence. They are perfect in every way. They have a ton more friends, they're sociable, they get good grades, and are all around just happy. The exact opposite of Jimothy. That night, Jimothy can't take it. He can't stand it. He's driven to the point of insanity on one cold, freezing night. Yes, this video wasn't about Jesus, but in fact about the envy that Jimothy felt. It was this night that Jimothy devised a plan to befriend the kid and murder him. He could do it with a rifle or a shotgun, and he wanted to do it soon. Around the time he was making this decision, it was already winter, and on one random snow day, he decided it was time to execute his plan. As Jimothy explains himself in the video, he does not remember much. All he remembers is that one day he was playing in the snow for a bit too long, and he doesn't know what overtook him or why it happened. But all he can remember is that feeling of loneliness hurting him. He remembers looking down on himself and seeing the blood of his friend all over him. Knowing the severity of the issue, he runs away. He goes and revisits the school that him and his friend went to. He knows that he shouldn't stay for a long time and decides it's time to leave. In fact, he goes on a very, very long night walk. In the video Night Walk, we see the aftermath of Jimothy's incident. He contemplates going back home, but he knows what will happen if anyone finds out what he did. His dark thoughts begin to creep up, questioning how he can live with himself. He knows he has a soul, but how can he after what he did? He skips town and wanders out into the world, young and afraid. A few months go by until one day, Jimothy finds a town full of accepting people. This is where the video Town 101 takes place. We see Jimothy's journey into the town and how he learns of a cult that would accept him for who he is. His experience with this town is as follows. He goes deep into town, meets a lot of new people, learns of the religion, and goes to sleep and wonders what path he should take. In his dreams, Jimothy wonders if he should go down the black path of darkness or succumb to the cult where he feels like he belongs. He wakes up, does the same exact thing again, has the same dream again, and ultimately, we know what decision he makes. Jimothy ends up joining the cult. How do we know this? Well, we know this because there are several videos that allude to this. Those videos being Why Would You Join a Cult?, MV Penelope Scott, and Devotees. In each of these videos, we see the experience that Jimothy went through with the cult. In the Penelope Scott video, we see that Jimothy and this girl met as children, which makes sense as he discovered the cult at an early age. However, he fell into this girl's manipulations and would find himself being constantly lied to as the years went on, to the point that Jimothy begins to realize that these people are not the people that they say they are. We know this because when he looks at them in the video, he just sees question marks on their faces. Jimothy realizes that he was used all of these years. Since he was a kid, he was nothing more than a pawn in this cult's game. His dreams tell this to be true, as in Devotees, we get an in-depth look into the mind of Jimothy. We know it's a dream because of the aforementioned black circles. This dream tells us how he begins to realize just how much he screwed up his life. He doesn't want this. He wakes up and sees this commercial on TV. He believes this is his ticket out of this life. He gets himself a new home, and one day begins to question why he did it. Why did he join the cult? Why did he leave? Why did he do any of this? Years have gone by, and now all of his loved ones that he ran away from when he was little are dead. He begins to think about his friend that he killed and left for dead in the snow. Remember those question marks from earlier? Well, those weren't just any question marks. That was Jimothy trying to block out this kid that he killed from his memory. He doesn't want to remember what he did. These two videos from his past aren't taking place right then and there, but are instead Jimothy reflecting back on his life. That's why we have the question marks. The friend that he would end up killing later in life actually went to his birthday party. But instead of trying to remember him, Jimothy chooses to block out as much of that memory as possible. Just as Jimothy's midlife crisis is reaching its climax, he hears a knock at the door. Remember that cult that he tried to get away from? Well, they found him, and they aren't too happy about it. Jimothy begins panicking, knowing what they will do if they get a hold of him. He realizes that he can't run and accepts his fate. He finally decides to open the door, only for him to be taken by force and then be used as a sacrifice for one of their rituals. As far as they're concerned, Jimothy is a traitor to the cult. As he's being sacrificed, his life flashes before his eyes. We see this in the video, Dude, How Do You Feel? Jimothy sees his first day that he walked into the cult, he sees the computer screen that got him into this mess, and finally, he sees an image of what I can only assume to be his vision of God. After his death, we get to see the next phase of Jimothy's life. As he knows from before on the computer, there is more to life than just his simple existence on Earth. There are many other forms of existence. The videos Liminal Space, Passing Over, Where Would You Go, and Are You Here now come into the timeline. These videos represent Jimothy's journey into his next existence. When he finally comes to, after his human body ceases to exist, he wakes up and walks into a room, only to find a strange body with a camera for a head recording a TV screen. Only, he realizes that this TV isn't just any ordinary TV, but it's in fact a TV that is displaying his life from before. It displays the loneliness, the running away, and the cult that he went through. He then finds himself with a choice to be sent into another existence. But what time shall he pick? Should he go into the future, back to the past, or simply stay here in the present? He makes a decision that we don't know of, and is then transported to his new existence. He sees flashes of his old life while being transported. Finally, he ends up in his new existence. However, things don't go well, as Jimothy still faintly remembers his past life. Even though he has a new body and is living in another universe, he still gets these vivid images of a past life that he firmly believes happened. He begins to remember all of the heartache from being a human. Because of this, Jimothy begins seeing a doctor to help with the trauma. He gets prescribed a new treatment from Dr. Fleur. This treatment is in the form of eggs, but he's too scared to try it. He contemplates for a long time whether he should start the treatment. He even has a nightmare about going to the market to buy them the next day. Eventually, Jimothy brings himself to eat the eggs. Now you can look at the eggs like a blue pill. as eating the eggs will keep Jimothy's scary thoughts at bay. One day, Jimothy decides enough is enough and he wants to face these fears head on. He stops doing his treatment and begins seeing a psychiatrist about all of his issues. The psychiatrist just so happens to be Baphomet Kun. This psychiatrist will be the entity that finally frees Jimothy. Jimothy starts frequently going to see the psychiatrist. He books appointments with him in a field, at his office, and even runs into him one day while out on the lake. All of these appointments help Jimothy face his fears head on, but without his medicine from Dr. Fleur, he begins to hallucinate quite often about his fears from his past life on Earth. These hallucinations can be seen in the videos Dream Emulator, God's Favorites, I'm Leaking Dream Fluids, Not the Shadow People, and finally, The Light. We know this is hallucinations from Jimothy's head because the phrase, "I don't feel safe in my own head," can be frequently seen in all of these videos. Even with all of this going on though, Jimothy pushes through until one day he decides to go out into the forest to clear his mind about everything. He finds himself a forest bed to sleep on and feels the comfort of some unknown being. A being that is revealed later in the video Soulless. The person that lied beside him ends up being this white figure. It's during this encounter that Jimothy begins to realize what's going on. This isn't another existence. This is his purgatory. Everything that he's encountered thus far was set up for him to face his fears. We see this take place a tiny bit in Soulless and the video titled Core Memory. Knowing all of this, Jimothy realizes the only way for him to get out of here is to forgive himself, but he can't bring himself to do it. After much contemplation, Jimothy is taken from his purgatory into the true afterlife. We see this happen in the video titled Angels. Jimothy's pain begins to fade from his memory. We know this because this so-called divine and celestial entity explains that he pities humans for their inability to recall the pain that they experienced in their past life. This higher power explains that Jimothy doesn't have to forgive himself, as the divine being shall be the one forgiving him, absolving Jimothy of all of his past sin, and finally allowing him to enter eternal bliss. That's the story of Jimothy, a story of depression, homicide, cults, purgatory, and finally, acceptance. But that's just my theory on the entire thing. Now, in all honesty, it's very likely that Baphomet Kun did not write these videos with this story in mind. I did say in the beginning of this video that there are two explanations. The more likely explanation for all of these videos is that they are simply a way for Baphomet Kun to cope with some past trauma from her life. I don't think every single video is driven by past events, but I do think a fair amount of them are, specifically the videos that have the comments turned off. Baphomet Kun, along with a lot of other YouTubers, disables the comments on videos that are more personal. This is why most of the videos that have comments disabled seem to be deep dives into BK's mind. Let's take this video for example, the video titled My Buddy. In retrospect, this video is most likely discussing past trauma about a friend of BK's that either passed away or left her life for one reason or another. If you haven't caught on, I am in fact calling Baphomet Kun a her on purpose. Now, I don't have any confirmation, but the idea from this stems from this video titled Not Allowed TV Girl MV, which funny enough is another video that has comments disabled. The reason I feel like this video gives off the idea that Baphomet Kun is a girl is because of the content in the video. The video starts off saying the phrase, "You want to talk about sex but we're not allowed. You may not like it, but you better learn how." Then after a few more quotes, we get taken out of this situation with the couple and a new girl is thrown in. The new girl explains, "How should I begin this?" The I here is very important because it heavily implies that Baphomet Kun is talking directly to us. And when BK is talking directly to us, she chooses to put a girl on screen. Therefore, I believe that it's a woman behind the entire channel. This would also relate back to the earlier part of the video that said, "You want to talk about sex, but we're not allowed," which is most likely alluding to the double standards that women face in modern society. It's more socially acceptable for a man to talk about sex openly rather than for a girl to do the same. Now, aside from all of this, there are many other videos on the channel that clearly imply some sort of trauma, such as the video Not the Shadow People, which clearly explains that Baphomet Kun is dealing with some sort of mental issues. That's why she frequently puts the phrase, "I don't feel safe in my head." Now, not all the videos are like this. Some of them are explaining how BK is making progress, like the video titled Toxic, where I believe it's supposed to represent the toxicity and unhealthiness of her behavior leaving BK's mind and body. Or the video Forgive and Forget, which shows us how self-aware BK is. She knows that she is the reason for her troubles and is the one to blame. Now, as I said before, there's loads of other videos on her channel. 65 videos to be exact. Why do I know that? Well, you could say I do my research. Anyways, I will be leaving a link below to the channel. I highly suggest you guys check out the channel to experience the videos for yourself, because all of them evoke this same feeling that I don't think any other channel of the same type has been able to reproduce. Baphomet Kun stands alone at the top of this content, as she is able to perfectly capture that feeling of horror and dread, but add just enough coziness to keep you watching. I will admit, I got a tiny bit addicted to watching these videos after discovering them, and I feel like many of you will do the same. Each one clearly has loads of effort put into it, and I hope you guys check it out. Just a disclaimer for the videos, as far as I've seen, none of them contain any sort of jump scares. Some of them are super loud though, but Baphomet Kun is nice enough to put warnings at the beginning of those videos so you don't crap yourself when the video starts. This brings us to the end of this video. Let me know what you guys think about my theories on the channel. I hope any fans of BK don't hate on this video, because a lot of her community seems to not want people to analyze her videos, but obviously the internet will do what the internet wants to do. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you guys do not miss another upload. Before I completely end the video, I wanted to give a shout out to Crazy, who gave me the idea for this video. I really enjoyed deep diving this channel. If you guys have any ideas for videos, do not hesitate to comment them. You never know if I might pick yours for my next video. I also wanted to thank everyone that subscribed. We've nearly doubled our community in the last month and a half, and it's honestly so freaking cool to see that all of my hard work hasn't gone unnoticed. If you guys want constant updates on my channel, be sure to follow my Twitter, as I will link it below. With all of that said, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.